could do that. Maybe I can turn up microphone sensitivity.
It's too late. We're on. Rehearsal's going great, guys.
Another great start.
Riveting drop in.
Just a second. Don't start yet. I can't imagine how we didn't get the Athletic podcast.
Okay. All right, you guys start because I have to see if I can raise my mic volume.
All right, you do technical things. Welcome back to another scintillating episode of the Desipio Coast podcast. We're all here again. I'm Andy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm having
Struggling.
technical difficulties. I'm Michael.
All right, so we if you're watching us live, which we're not because I forgot to tweet it out. Actually, I probably should do that since it's a rain delay and people might actually want to do that. The Cubs are in a rain delay. I missed the bottom of the fifth, and Kyle just related to me that it was the most frustrating half inning of Cub baseball since, well, probably the 9th game of the season.
It was just the beautiful homer, wild pitch, single mixed in there, air combo. So fitting, I guess.
It seems like and I know fans, we freak out about it more than the players obviously do because we're like, oh God, it's going to rain. They need to hurry up and get a lead. And then they should hurry up. And Joe should bring the closer in, in the 5th. And then typically it doesn't rain hard enough. And
yeah, how many games ever actually get called after 5? I feel like it almost never actually happens. Like everyone, it always comes up on Twitter when it's, threatening, but
I remember back in the good old days when it used to get too dark and they'd have to stop playing.
Back in the day, they used to only play 5 innings. That was a whole baseball game when baseball first started.
And if the ball bounced into the stands, it was a home run. And they used actual bats, the animal. It was barbaric. Thank God the ASPCA almost shut them down. And then they switched to the wood thing, and it's really taken off since then. All right, so we've got
an actual bat would be the only thing that would last for fewer at bats than
that's my ride.
Ash bat or whatever. What's the bad one? Maple.
Isn't that the one that would? That's the one that would break and end up in Tyler Colvin's chest. Remember that time Wellington Castillo almost killed Tyler Colvin on the field? Those were the days. That stuff hardly ever happens. Sissies.
So Dolan and I both live out in the suburbs. So Kyle, that siren must have been down by you.
Yep. I closed my window here.
Okay. Good first segment, guys.
Yep, that was good. All right. Roll the commercial. This podcast is gonna get canceled while we're doing it.
By whom?
All right, so I think what do we come? We have 4 topics again. That seems to be our regular number.
Is that a significant number?
Is it? Say the alphabet backwards, Tony. I miss those days. It was simpler back then.
Yes, it was. Okay, topics. Dolan, you remember them certainly.
Yes, in some order. I want to talk about the last time the Brewers were on Sunday Night Baseball before last Sunday, because ESPN made it seem like it was a monumental event that they were on. And by the way, I think that the A-Rod Christian Yelich interview is almost done. It's just wrapping up now.
You are not good at teasers.
I think I'm excellent.
I assume that's going to be your first joke when we actually get to that segment.
No, I just thought of that one.
Okay.
It's a freebie.
Okay.
Our good friend Alex Kaysberg and Conan O'Brien settled their lawsuit. Thought I'd give people an update on that. You wanted to talk about the shift.
Indeed.
And then we wanted to talk about America's favorite couple, which is no more the Zobers. Delicately, because we're classy. We'll keep it that way.
Oh, and Kyle wants to trash opposing podcasts.
That's right. We'll do that at the end. So you have to stick around to the very end and We're going to take them all down.
Uh,
All right. So on Sunday night, I didn't care because I don't like Sunday Night Baseball. I haven't liked it ever, I don't think. Back to the glory days with Joe Morgan and John Miller. What I really hate about it is that they really lean into that whole ridiculous game of the week thing, and they try to cover like all kinds of issues. It's like, it's just another game. Just cover it like another game. It's baseball. It'll be fine. And it was very Brewer centric. And that was because the Brewers hadn't been on. This is incredible. They hadn't been on Sunday Night Baseball since 2013. So I thought I would look up what was significant about that in 2013. So here are some people who played for the Brewers the last time they were on Sunday Night Baseball. Do you remember who their third baseman was?
Ooh. In 2013, the Brewers.
Oh God.
But wait,
He has a strong connection to.
Did Aramis go back?
Yeah, it was still.
it was
still Aramis
yeah.
Ramirez,
and he was probably still raking at that time too.
He was still pretty good.
Oh wait, that was okay, all right.
Brandon Kinsler was in their bullpen.
Oh God.
Salt.
Okay.
Salt.
I hate that nickname. I don't like him much either. We didn't know Ryan Braun had herpes yet. No, just kidding.
Well,
of course.
we did.
Of course, we knew he had herpes. That was the year he got suspended for 65 games for his wonderful. What was that? It wasn't whatever the name of that lab. Biogenesis.
Well, he was the victim of a failed system, so never forget that.
That's true.
Well, actually, I didn't realize this. His suspension was 50 games for Biogenesis, and then Bud really cracked down on him, gave him an extra 15 because he very clearly lied about the failed drug test a couple of years earlier, the one when he blamed it on the Cub fan who kept his whiz in the fridge over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen Yelich debuted that year for the Florida Marlins.
Oh.
He got 2 hits in his first game ever against Colorado on July 23rd. Here's a good one. Who was predominantly the Cubs center fielder in 2013?
Todd Dunwoody.
I wish.
Reed Johnson?
No,
he'd been gone.
He's not. He can't quite close his mouth all the way, and he's never sure what to do with his hands.
Oh, God. Everyone's favorite pregame host.
David Hayes.
Oh, Lord.
Yes. This is how long it's been. All right. This was the part I enjoyed the most. Here were some other notable Cubs players who played for the Cubs that year. Alfonso Soriano.
Mm-hmm.
That was the year he got traded on July 26th for the great Corey Black. Carlos Marmol was still pitching for the Cubs.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody's favorite Golden Domer, Jeff Samardzija, was
Uh-huh.
obviously still a Cub. Kevin Gregg.
Oh God, I forgot about him.
Jesus Christ.
He was like Kevin Gregg was low rent. What the hell is his name? The good dude from the Dodgers, Gagne. He was like a low rent Gagne.
Oh,
He had the same.
because of the glasses.
Well, and he had the same. He had no indent. He had just the back of his skull just went straight down to his spine. There was no like back of his head where brain would have fit. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I'll draw it. Like this is as good as our discussion last week about our interlaced fingers. It's a visual podcast.
Edwin Jackson was still a Cub.
Oh my God. And he's been on 17 teams since.
Yep, and he's now a Blue Jay again. I guess he's been a Blue Jay before.
Was that his 18 loss season, or was that the next year?
Trying to block it all out. And God rest his soul, Louis Valbuena was still a Cub in 2013. Okay, now I think this was interesting. There were 6 members of the 2016 World Series who were on the 2016 World Series roster. Well said by me. Who played at least part of the season. It's not very many, considering that just 3 years later they would win the World Series. They only had 6 guys who even played a game who were still around.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say this again. So in the 2013, we have to pick the guys.
2013, there were
2013
six guys played in 2013 who played in the World Series.
Well, Rizzo and Arrieta are the easy ones.
Yeah.
Well, then another guy goes with Arrieta pretty clearly.
Oh, Strope.
Oh yeah. Chris Coughlin.
No.
Oh
No?
wow.
Nope.
Good guess though.
He was not there yet.
Damn.
Okay, wait. We said Rizzo Arrieta. We have Rizzo Arrieta, Strope.
Yep. I can give you hints about two of them. I can give you hints about all of them, but one of them only has one eyebrow. But it's a big one.
Jacob Dylan.
Yes, that's right.
It's one big eyebrow.
His eyebrows are basically Bert from Bert and Ernie.
The only person I think about when I think of that is Giovanni Soto. I know that's not right.
Clearly not. No.
One eyebrow. God, is 2016 this long ago that we can't remember this? Come on, Kyle. We got this. All right, let's just start. Let's just think about pitching staff first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you the other clue. You'll get it right away, I think.
Well, then don't give it to Okay.
All right.
No, give it to us. We don't want to waste everything.
Oh, Jason Hamill.
No.
Oh. Yeah, he wasn't there before.
He was on the Samardzich. Oh yeah, he must have been 14 then.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
One of these guys would have pitched shirtless if they'd have let him.
Travis Wood.
Travis Wood. Yep.
Yeah.
Now two left.
Okay.
One of them, my favorite thing about him ever was that when Jake Arrieta threw the no-hitter in Dodger Stadium, he didn't know it was a no-hitter. He couldn't understand why everybody was so excited.
Justin Grimm.
Oh, good call.
He thought they were all excited because it was a shutout.
Oh, because Grimm dancing.
And they're like, he threw a no-hitter. He did? Like, yeah, he did.
Justin Grimm was one of my favorite gifts of that year. All right, so we only need one left.
One more. It's a guy with one eyebrow. He's a relief pitcher.
Oh, it's another relief pitcher. See, that's why I don't remember.
He got one of the most satisfying outs in Cub history.
Mike Montgomery? No,
he wasn't around yet. Think the year before. The year before, 2015.
Oh, Rondon.
Yes, Hector Rondon.
Yeah, duh, God. I don't think of him as much of a one eyebrow guy. And now that I'm saying Soto, he had heavily manicured eyebrows, right?
He probably would have had one had he not manicured them. Well, Hector's is just so big, and it just goes.
It's true.
I mean, it's like
a very Cro-Magnon brow.
Yeah, it's a mustache, basically, but it's above his eyes instead of below his nose.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh,
all right.
Another statistic between today and the last time the Brewers were on a Sunday night baseball game, the Cubs have won one World Series in that time period.
Yes, and a pennant.
Yes. Well,
which goes hand in hand.
Yeah, or one pennant. They had multiple opportunities to win pennants.
Yes. They spent a lot of time in the NLCS.
Yes.
Only won one pathetic little pennant. Nice job, Theo. But so in addition, this kind of this is a nice parallel to Sunday Night Baseball. In addition to Ryan Braun being suspended for 65 games, A-Rod got a 211 game suspension that year. That was the last however many games of that season plus all of the next year. And then I like this because this, I think, to me brought back just how long ago this was. So the Packers won the NFC North with a scintillating record of 8-7-1. And they got beat in the wild card round by the 49ers because Colin Kaepernick ran for like 12,000 yards in the game.
Neat.
That's how long ago that was. So there you go.
I was trying to think of what relationship I was in at that time, and that makes me really feel that makes me really think about how long ago those things were. Good times.
Yeah. All right, so a couple of weeks ago, you're
not going to say transition right into speaking of relationships. Let's talk about Ben Zobrist, but no, go ahead with your transition.
I was going to get this out of the way because
fine.
Well, I don't really listen to you guys. That makes it hard to do the transitions. I'm just waiting to talk. Anyway, 2-3 weeks ago, we talked about how a former Desipio lurker had sued had sued Conan O'Brien for supposedly stealing 4 of his jokes, and it was actually going to trial. And when we got to joke about the fact that Elaine Boozler was the closest thing they could get to a joke expert, it didn't end up going to trial. They settled, and Conan wrote a letter that was published in Variety magazine, and I always read Variety because I love that stuff. I just want to read part of it because I think it's very good. He never refers to Caseberg by name, so he doesn't give him the satisfaction of repeating it, and it's simply titled "My Stupid Lawsuit." So here's this part. I will link to it in the show notes, the whole thing, because it's really good. But there's a couple of paragraphs I particularly like. So it says, 4 years ago, my writers and I were sued by a man in San Diego who claimed that we stole 5 jokes from his blog and Twitter account. I will tell you what we told him and what we subsequently swore under oath in a deposition. We had never heard of him or his blog or Twitter account, and we did not steal any of his jokes. Short of murder, stealing material is the worst thing any comic can be accused of, and I've devoted 34 years in show business striving for originality. Had I, for one second, thought that any of my writers took material from someone else, I would have fired that writer immediately, personally apologized, and made financial reparations. But I knew we were on the right. How did I know? I knew because different people around the world come up with the same joke all the time, especially when the joke is topical. I was made aware of this 24 years ago when on the same night, David Letterman, Jay Leno, and I all told an identical Dan Quayle is dumb joke. Dan Quayle announced today that he will not be running for president in 96. However, he did not rule out running in 97. Back then, no one sued anyone because each of us knew the topical comedy often follows a pattern. It's an occupational hazard. You try to avoid it, but sometimes comedians inadvertently step on each other's feet. And then he talks about how 20 years later with the internet, it makes it even easier for people to write the same jokes, or for the same joke to appear, because anybody can be a comedian. Anybody can, and he kind of walks through the whole thing about
except for Alex Caseberg.
Right.
Anyone can be a comedian.
So anyway, I wanted to give the update that it's been settled. Unfortunately, our old buddy Alex got an unspecified sum of money for claiming that somebody stole his jokes.
Well, and to Conan's rush to Conan's, if I had been Conan's, I obviously this didn't go to trial, but had I been Conan's lawyer, had it gotten to trial, I would have just done what we did on the podcast a couple of weeks ago and set up those jokes and asked the judge if he could come up with a punchline. And I'm the dumbest punchline he could think of, and I bet he would have come up with punchlines that were very similar.
Yeah.
And that would have been like, case closed. And I would have stormed out of I would have closed up my briefcase and just walked out of the court and probably been held in contempt.
Great. No, it was ridiculous when I saw it, and it was ridiculous.
Yes.
At the time, and but it's resolved to no one's satisfaction, which is how it should be.
Well, congratulations to the unspecified sum. The player to be named later was Cash to Alex Caseberg.
Cash considerations, just like similarly. Somebody's mock draft after the NBA lottery last night went through all the picks and got to number 7, the Bulls, and put simply cash considerations. They would clearly be selling this pick, so don't get too attached to anybody. All right, so now we're on to shifts, and you've got thoughts.
Well, I don't know that that's accurate, but I just I feel like back in the day when Joe Madden was after Hawk Harrelson had already patented, when Joe Madden started inventing the shift, you'd see maybe 3 times a game, usually one batter per team, if that, you'd see guys shifting. And now I swear to God, it is every other people are shifting for every single batter. And I don't want to be like this isn't baseball guy, but it's kind of annoying me at this point. I kind of wish that they would, at this point, just roll it back and just be like, all right, you guys, you have to stand within this amount of space of these positions.
So
Because
what's the penalty if they don't?
if they
Say they set the rule that before the pitch is delivered, you have to have 2 infielders on each side of second base.
it's a 50-game suspension for everyone on the field.
Well, that seems reasonable.
No, it's the batter gets 2 balls added to his count.
So it'll be 2 balls on the batter, which
Yeah.
in most cases is
And
probably,
no strikes against him. Yeah.
is probably the case.
Yeah.
You have to let Kevin Gregg come on to finish the live batter.
That's what they should do.
Nice callback, Kyle. Yeah, no, I don't know that there's a penalty. And like honestly, I don't even like that idea of limiting anyone else in the field. I'm just is anyone else sick of all these shifts? I'm just doing 90s stand-up comedy. I'm actually gonna send this to Kaysberg. I'm just workshopping some ideas with him. I don't know. I guess I'm curious about your guys' opinion. Is there too much shifting in baseball? Is I guess my question.
It doesn't bother me per se. It mostly just annoys me, especially that damn Brewers series.
Wait, what's the difference between it bothering you and it annoying you? I think
That's a fair question. I don't necessarily think it should be outlawed, but I get pissed when the Cubs are playing the Brewers and they do that thing where it's not like an overshift, but they just put the second baseman in shallow right field and everyone else plays normal and the Cubs hit into it. Every single left-handed batter hits right into it.
And then they get thrown out 40 feet into the outfield from a guy 40 feet in the outfield.
Do you think that was a shift, or is that's how far back Mike Moustakas had to play to actually have a chance to field a ground ball?
That's probably the actual answer.
Mike, you're playing a little deep. No, I can't come in there.
So how about this? So I think the rule should be every player on the field should have to be as far away from another player as Ben Zobrist's eventual restraining order against Julianna is going to dictate that they have to be apart from each other.
I love that idea. I don't know how you'd enforce
it. No,
that's the only problem I see with that idea is I just don't know how to enforce it.
I was just curious if it's too much now. And like and I know the whole point is to try and have take away some of the swing of the power hitters. But truly, if anyone learned to bunt, like if Anthony Rizzo, and he does every once in a while, he could just or Schwarber or Hayward, they shift on Hayward, who can definitely bunt, and like it's like, well, I guess what is it better for him to just bat 1,000 with 600 singles in a season, bunt singles in a season, and take away any threat of power? It's just, I don't know.
That's always the argument, right? They're like, Len and JD are famous saying, well, you just, if that guy Paul Goldschmidt wants to bunt, good. Right, he can't bunt the ball into the stands. It's like, well, right. But if he bunted every time into the shift, he ought to be able to get on, 4 out of 5 times.
Yeah.
He'd be batting 800. Yeah. Would you really take that trade? To me, the most annoying thing about the shifts is that players can't exploit them more. The easiest way to get them out of the shift would be to not hit the ball exactly where you always hit it. Theoretically, no matter what defense you put out there is a shift of some sort. When when Abner Doubleday pretended to invent baseball, they had to figure out, okay, where do you put the third baseman? The shortstop obviously just came up out of, holy crap, there's a whole bunch of balls they keep getting through between third base and second base. We should put a guy there. At the time, they're probably like, whoa,
And if we put Javi Baez there, we don't need these other 7 guys on the
Everybody
field.
else can sit down. And I don't know, this could be apocryphal. We know what happened, but everybody supposedly the first shift was Lou Boudreau, when he was the player manager for the Indians, was playing shortstop. And whenever Ted Williams came up, he would go play on the other side of second base because Ted never went the other way. He always pulled the ball. And that was the Williams shift. And that was like the only shift for a long time.
Yeah.
So it just seems like it's an extreme to have to actually outlaw this. And I don't know how you would enforce it. I don't know. I don't have a good idea of what a penalty would be if you didn't do it.
And I'm jokingly out.
No, I know, but other people talk about. There are people who are seriously adamant that it should be illegal, and I just don't know how you're going to do it. When one of the rules that looks like it might happen next year is if you bring a relief pitcher in, he has to pitch to 3 batters or till the end of an inning, and that brought up the whole idea: what happens if you could the guy could pretend that he's hurt. Say you bring the great Brad Brock in, and you've got 1 righty and 2 lefties. Of course, he comes in, he walks the right-handed guy, because that's what he does. And you want to get him out, and he does the old Al Trivik, my arm is broken.
It's broken.
So my suggestion was, if that happens, then just like in basketball, if a guy gets fouled and he gets hurt and he can't shoot the free throws, the other team gets to pick who shoots the free throws. I think you should get to pick who gets to pitch for the next 2 outs.
Well, I think you could do it that way, or you could say, fine, you don't have to have an injured list, whatever, stay, but you are unavailable the next game or the next
there should
2
be
games. Or whatever it is.
I've always wondered, in like the World Series, say it's a series that goes 7 games, and in game 5 you have your starting pitcher, goes 6 innings, whatever. Couldn't you, in theory, claim an injury, replace that pitcher on the roster with no repercussion? Because I know in the early rounds, if you replace the guy, you can't come back the next series, but there's no next series.
Yeah, so I honestly don't know if you can replace a player in the World Series.
Yeah, that's true. What if it's a position player, though? Like a legitimate
You got to play with.
Yeah.
Got to do what the Cubs have been doing for the last however long, and just play with an extra man down because Riz can't play, and you just have to suck it up. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know if you can. Obviously, you can in the earlier rounds, and the penalty is that player is then ineligible for the next round.
Right.
But when you get to the World Series, you're right. You could just, all your starting pitchers, when they make that last start, he's out, and we get to activate another pitcher and stack your bullpen.
Yeah, just claim.
It's very sneaky of you.
Claim Tommy John disease, and if the White Sox ever get there, that might actually be what happens.
Yeah, that's obviously contagious. There's an outbreak. They didn't get their vaccinations, and Tommy John disease is running rampant through the White Sox organization.
I'm trying to figure this out while you guys are go about your business, because I'm sure everyone's screaming at us.
Now, does that only count for infield shifts? If you have an extreme, can you go with the 4 outfielders? Can you bring in the extra infielder?
Softball. Yeah. And that's, And I mean, exactly what you said, Bill. Like, I'm not, of course, advocating for adding more rules to baseball. But I'm just sick of watching it. Cause like, I don't think I ever saw a shift on Sammy Sosa. And I feel like that is the type of person that you would put and also maybe this is just selective memory, but I don't really I feel like shifts used to just be for left-handed power.
Absolutely. Yep.
And like now they're for everyone. And maybe it's because you want, traditionally your shortstop's a better fielder than your second baseman. So moving like Todd Walker over to the left side of the infield didn't really help anyone except for the opposing offense. So
the Cubs had to shift a guy to the second base side just to help Todd field ground balls. Go stand next to Todd. What if it's the other way? Well, I don't care. If he hits it to Todd, it's getting through. So you might as well just stand right behind him. And the reason they couldn't shift against Sammy was because it's illegal to start. You can't have a fielder start. Everybody has to be in fair territory during the pitch, because the best way to have a shift against Sammy was to put a guy behind the catcher so that you could bounce all the pitches that Sammy would swing at, and they'd have somebody back there to retrieve the ball.
Oh, I thought you were going to be flattering and say that the best place to play Sammy was in the left field bleachers.
Well, I could have been flattering. Just like the best place to play Ernie Banks was to sit in the basket.
Which wasn't there for most of his career. So
I remember when it was a big thing that because of that whole rule about all the players had to be in fair territory, Keith Hernandez used to set up when there was a runner at first, he would straddle the bag to get a better angle for the tag if they were going to try to pick guys off. And I don't remember which Cub manager it was. It might have been the great Jim Fry. Somebody used to bitch about it all the time. And so I also have to hold up the game and get Keith to line up in fair territory, and then the pitcher would throw a pitch, and then the very next pitch, Keith did exactly what we would have done. It's like, fuck you, and he would do it again, and they'd have to do it again and again. And it's like it's 3 inches. Who cares?
So do you have to be? I didn't even real. So do both feet have to be
Yes.
in? Okay,
That's what they were complaining about, and nobody ever enforces it. But the Cubs decided this was really going to get in the Mets' head. They were going to do this.
Because I'm trying to think about when I played first. Like I feel like when I was holding a guy on first. Oh no, I guess both feet were in fair territory because I put my right heel on the corner of the bag closest to the pitcher mound, and I guess my left heel was.
Would you put your right foot in and then put your right foot out?
Yeah, I would
and
put my
your
right heel
foot in
on the
and then
bag.
shake it all about.
Then I would turn my back completely to the bag and pray for the best.
I've always thought the best way, if I was a pitcher, I would just routinely hit the runner as hard as I could with throws over to first.
Oh,
that'll teach you. Just smoke him every time.
We had pitchers that did that. I didn't like that because then I had to chase the ball.
Right.
But we had definitely had pitchers that did that intentionally. I'm pretty sure my shortstop did that intentionally sometimes too. But
so my wife still doesn't know much about baseball, just like her husband. And but this was perfect. We went to, I think it was 2006. I think went to a Cub Philly game, and Mark Pryor was actually healthy enough to pitch and was amazing. Struck out 15, he had a shutout going. This was great. Dusty, of course, let him pitch well into the 9th. Started to get a little bit of a jam. Dusty came out and got him. Brings in LaTroy, and he's going to save the day.
Oh, what could go wrong?
God.
So the Phillies had the bases. I'm pretty sure. I think the bases were loaded. Could have been first and third, but I'm pretty sure the bases were loaded. And with 1 out, the batter hit a line drive back to LaTroy. LaTroy made an amazing catch, a self-defense catch for the 2nd out. All he had to do was throw to first. To Jose Offerman was too far off the bag.
I remember this.
All he's got to do is throw it to first. Cubs win. He throws it. He hits Jose Offerman in the helmet. The ball bounces into the stands. Everybody gets 2 bases. And the Phillies take the lead and win, and eventually win the game. And so we're sitting there, and there's this weird, it's a weird noise in the crowd where it's like, what the hell? Nobody's quite sure what happened. It's like, what? And everybody's looking, and the umps are moving the runners around, and so I'm sitting there. My wife goes, she's like, well, so what happened? And I try to explain it, and she's like, does this happen a lot?
Only to the Cubs.
I'm like, I can pretty much guarantee you, this is the first time it has ever happened.
I love those moments when Pat Hughes is surprised by something that happens on the field. They're very few and far between. But when Pat Hughes is like, Ron, I don't know that I've ever seen that happen on a baseball field. I just love it when he gets that surprised voice. The surprised Pat Hughes voice is one of my favorite voices.
My favorite thing is when, because it always was, it was just like that. Something would happen, and you'd see it in a game, you're like, and people are like, that never happened. You're like, no, that happened to the Cubs. And you'd have an example like that. But now we're to the point where things are happening that the Cubs are the good example. Like in the Cardinal series a couple of weeks ago when Jose Martinez tried to call timeout. And the ump didn't give it to him, and they called a strike, and he went nuts, and Yachty came over and had to do all his Yachty stuff. And then you could immediately pull up the Chris Coughlin against the Cardinals, calling the timeout and not getting it, and then singling to right field, and the go-ahead run score. So like, it's so nice to actually be able to pull up, stuff like that.
Instead of pulling up Ronnie Cedeno getting thrown out at second on a walk behind him.
Which almost happened to Wilson last week. Because he was running, the batter walked, he popped up off the bag and was just standing next to the base. And then all of a sudden he took a big lurch step and got on second base because obviously somebody was waving and pointing. And it's like, ugh. It just shows you how I hate to give the Cardinals credit, but the reason that happened was because it was the fucking La Russa Cardinals. And they looked for shit like that. Because they, and Yachty made the throw, and I think it was I'm sure it was Eckstein, and he actually tags him. Most guys are, if it had been a Cub, he'd have been wandering around the infield with the ball, nowhere near the bag. If it had been Ronnie, there's no way anybody gets tagged out.
And if it would have been Baez, everyone on the field would have been tagged out.
It's like I found it annoying in the Marlins series. Starlin made a really nice. It looked like, I forget, I don't remember who the runner was, but it looked like he had the bag stolen. Starlin made a great tag. And it's like now is the time you decide not to set up 8 feet in front of second base to take the throw and have no chance at tagging anybody.
He was the cutoff man for the throw to second.
I guess competent defense is the sacrifice that was his reward for completely giving up offense.
So who's the is it Luke Stuckmeyer? Is he the Sports Chicago guy that does beer money?
Yes.
He's currently wearing an El Moro will catch it shirt. What do you suppose he's going to catch?
Yeah.
His cleats jumping out of the dugout?
Oh, I almost forgot. Well, I don't want to give it away, so I'm going to wait a second. But I've reminded myself of something.
Okay, well, let's go.
This is big entertainment. No, I can't. We have to
organically.
I will come back. We will come back to it.
You better write it down. Okay, what's our next topic, Dolan? We want to talk about
Love American Style.
Yeah.
So
after you wasted my perfect segue into it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I was trying to go in order. Because I have a hard enough time. I could write some of this stuff down.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
But that seems like too much work.
So I don't want to. I assume, Kyle, you've never been divorced.
I have not.
I'm pretty sure, Andy, you have not gotten divorced since the last time
yet.
I talked to you. So I have been through it, and it's obviously a tough thing, and I don't want to that's their business, and it's a very tough thing to go through. The only thing I want to say about this is my mom called it like 2 weeks ago. She goes, whatever the first time he went on leave was, she's like, I don't like that Julianna Zobrist. I blame her. And I'm like, Mom, it's you have no idea what's going on. Like you could be having problems with illness or family, or it could be any number of things that are none of our business to pry into, including the divorce is none of our business really to pry into. But I just want to give my mom the shout out that she deserves, because she does not like that Julianna Zobrist. And my mom is a very Catholic woman, so I'm surprised she doesn't like the Christian rock singer, Christian pop, whatever she considers herself. Yeah,
well, somebody on Twitter who follows me called it almost immediately and basically said that he sounded to him like Ben Zobrist was on corncob dress leave. And so somebody thought that right away. And you're right. I mean, it could have been anything. It could have been one of the kids was sick. It could have been that she was sick. It could have been that he was sick. It could have been anything. So
he's questioning
why nobody speculates. It's icky. Nobody wants to speculate on any of that stuff. My only thing is I really hope that when they divvy up all the assets, she gets the walk-up music in the divorce. She can have it.
And he gets the MVP, the World Series MVP trophy. I assume I can speak for you guys too. Wish for the best. I wish that he can get his mind right and come back and be, and even if he's not productive, I love Ben Zobrist forever because of what he's done for the team and just been that kind of guy that plays wherever the hell Madden puts him and plays well and won a goddamn World Series MVP. And even if he comes back and I just hope that he's at peace, because as Louis C.K. said, because that's great to quote him on.
That's good. Yeah.
But no good marriage ends in divorce. So I'm glad he got to the point where I'm a little confused why both of them filed separate pleadings in separate counties, but that's probably an asset thing that I don't understand. But best of luck to him. Because I've heard he's a very genuine person too. So I hope all the best for him and all the best for her. And I hope that they can get through it quickly. I doubt they will because of all the assets involved, but I hope that they can, find some peace.
Well, yeah. And you hope he comes back, because I think it was widely believed this was going to be his last year anyway.
Yeah.
And you'd like him to be able to retire, go out playing, not, disappear in May and never play again.
Yeah.
It just would kind of suck. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew he was late to spring training. I didn't realize it was for a similar issue. So obviously, that was they've been working.
Yeah, and
they've been
kudos
working on it for quite a while.
Yeah, and kudos to them for trying. I mean, like, I'm sure that's only what we know about, and it obviously got bad enough to the fact that he couldn't even perform in his job, which I could also sympathize and understand. So good luck to the Zobras fan, and of course the kids. I don't know how many kids they have, but of course they're kids too. So
like they have 11.
They've had sex 11 times. Good for Ben.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to say about that. Unless you guys have other.
Okay, Forrest.
The question that needs to be answered is what's going to replace his walk-up screech when and if he does return.
Well, I would assume now it has to be who are the two. Well, let me throw this out there because I have two in mind. The two like sappiest, like only write breakup albums and only write about being broken up with. Two artists that you would say are popular now.
Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift would be my first one.
Oh, geez.
Although, did Rizzo have Taylor Swift or sometimes has Taylor Swift? Yeah. The other one has been MIA for a little while. I think with vocal cord issues on and off and possibly having kids.
Brittany?
She's been off for a while. She names her albums off of her age when she releases them. Oh boy. Okay. Everyone else is probably screaming at this. I would pick an Adele song for him.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, there you go.
I think that he that'd be a nice firing, a little Someone Like You. That'll get everyone fired up during the playoffs when he's walking up to that. So that would be my two sarcastic choices of walk-up songs because we have to have a little bit of fun with that.
My two were going to be Amazing Grace or the National Anthem.
So in 2003, the year I was the official scorer for the Beloit Snappers, our third baseman that year, Jeff Ure, his brother was in the military and was in Iraq, and so every single at bat, and he played every day. I think he batted usually fourth or fifth, so he batted 4 or 5 times a game. We got to hear "I'm Proud to Be an American" by Lee Greenwood.
Yeah,
and if I hear that song now, my brain immediately tries to implode upon itself. It was terrible. So
I would take that. I would take that in a heartbeat over.
I'm gonna miss it.
Oh God! Well, you can play it anytime you want to. You can play it.
Well, we did wonder if, like, what team will he go to? Where will they go? Where the PA announcer will play that when he comes up? Because you know what's going to happen.
St. Louis for sure would do it.
Think.
I mean, and I would do it if
they'll play it on the banjo though, so you might not be able to recognize it.
Okay. Well, R.I.P. Zobris marriage.
All right. So what's our we have a final topic, or was that our final topic? See how good I am at this? Thought we had one more.
Oh, we can bitch about what we're gonna get out of out of Andy's newest colleagues.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You guys want to talk about. So before we do that, I want to, and I will. This again will get posted in the. I am going to pull up. Last time we had the separated at birth.
Oh, that's right.
Christopher Cross and John Lester. And I think I found. Oh, I can't make this work. Isn't it great when I try to figure out technology while I'm doing it? Here we go. I think this will work now.
Put it in the group.
I think I found a really good one.
You can screen share too, by the way.
That's what I'm.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing here.
Meanwhile, the Cubs are back on, for the record.
Oh, good.
See that? Oh.
Oh no.
What did it do?
We just went into the upside down. Uh-oh, Javi.
All right, try it again. Oh, all right. Okay. So for those of you who can see, the person on the right is Loverboy lead singer Mike Reno, and on the left is Albert Almora. And they are exactly the same.
And to be fair, their faces look nothing alike, but that is pretty good.
The hair is perfect, and that vacant look on their face.
Yeah.
Too.
And the mole, is that a mole on Loverboy's on the crease of his smile line?
I don't know.
It's
He's working for the weekend.
It's higher up on Elmora. That's a pretty good one. How long were you spending all week doing this?
No, was it last night when he hit the home run? They showed him in the dugout, and he usually wears the blue headband, but he had the red one on, and I'm like, God, that looks just like somebody. And of course, Springsteen immediately came to mind, and I thought, no, that's not going to look enough. And I'm like, oh, Loverboy. So I immediately looked up. I had to figure out who the lead singer was, and it was Mike Reno, which I should have known because
you were a big Loverboy
from the Footloose soundtrack. Him and Ann Wilson from Heart have a wonderful duet that we used to dance to in junior high.
What song off Footloose?
Crap, what's the name of it?
I know one topic that will make me feel smarter than you guys now.
Yeah, apparently.
No, gotta have one.
But anyway, so then I remember thinking to myself, that's the guy. And it took me, I literally just pulled up an image search for Mike Reno, and I had my choice of red headband pictures.
That was perfect
to choose from. I thought that was pretty good.
That was a good one. I would say facial structure, though.
Almost Paradise.
Better. Almost Paradise. Yeah, I think I remember that one.
And I always think, whenever I think of Ann Wilson, on Behind the Music, Kyle, you might not remember. You might have never heard of this show. MTV had this these 1 hour documentaries about bands, and they always followed the same format. It was, here's the band getting together, here's their big break, now they're stars, then something tragic happened and they broke up. Either Def Leppard, the drummer's arm fell off, or usually somebody got addicted to drugs, or they slept with the other one's wife or whatever. When you watch the Heart one with Ann and Nancy Wilson, literally when you get to that part, the only thing they had was Ann got fat. and then this is bad, but I had a mnemonic in my head to try to remember which one was Ann and which one was Nancy. And I should have been able to remember that Nancy married Cameron Crowe, but in my mind it was always Ann eats anything. That's how I remembered Ann Wilson.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ann Wilson because AW. Aw, she got fat.
That would have worked too.
Oh.
And she sang look at this. Look how this all comes together. So the year that the 49ers went to the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, they played the NFC Championship game in Seattle. And maybe it might have been the next year. But Ann sang the national anthem. And it was amazing. It was like the best national anthem. She nailed it. It's
called the national anthem.
Yeah, it's the national anthem. And people made fun of it because they thought at the end that her voice broke. But no, she was just doing her typical Ann Wilson Heart shit at the end. And it was great. And Pete Carroll, who I don't like, went nuts on the sideline.
Nobody likes Pete Carroll.
He thought that was just the cool, that's like his perfect age demographic. He went nuts. He thought that was the greatest thing. They could have stopped the game right then. Pete would have gone home happy. Okay. Sure. So there's Separated at Birth.
Very good.
And so then I guess Kyle wanted to talk about the fact that the Athletic has a Cub podcast. One of us works for the Athletic. And he's not on the podcast. So rub it in. It's fine. You know why? Because they know this podcast is better, and they know I wouldn't have abandoned it to go be on their little podcast.
You definitely should have if you had that opportunity.
Oh, I would have ran. I had my bags packed. I was ready to go.
You were leaving on a jet plane. Sorry, guys, another song reference for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're glad to still have you, Andy. And are you going to be? I guess the question is, are you going to be tuning in? Because I'm definitely not paying to get anything behind the paywall.
I do think to me, it's they don't. It's funny they don't ask me. Like at the company meetings when we all get together, and I usually sit with Peter Gammons and Ken Rosenthal in the back of the room, and we make fun of everybody. They don't ask my advice on things, but the original podcast that they had, and there was a Cub podcast. Ben Finfer was actually the host of it, and it was pretty good.
I like Finfer.
Those were just regular podcasts, just like this one. You could download it. You pay the low price of free, and you get the podcast. All these new podcasts are behind the paywall, and I don't get that.
Do they realize, like, I'm sorry if WTF and Comedy Bang Bang and like Serial are not hidden behind paywalls?
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably people aren't paying for a lot of podcasts. Your podcasts are a free product to drive people to your service, to what makes you money. And if you get them big enough, obviously the advertising on those podcasts, I can't imagine what a 10-second bite on WTF is. But they're probably pretty pricey. So you can probably make some good money off of ads like we're going to do on this.
That's right. We will be millionaires very soon.
I can't wait until we get that Swedish ad money rolling in.
Yeah. I don't know that I can read the spots in Swedish.
That's okay.
But I'll try.
Duolingo, download it.
Give me the phonetic, and I will try it. Horgy. I figure it's just horgy. Oh, there goes Sweden.
I like how we've once again let Kyle introduce his topic and then just
talk right over it.
Completely talked over him.
Sorry,
Kyle. I think the name of this podcast should be "Sorry, Kyle." The Desipio podcast.
The two guys talking that people actually come to listen to, and then the other guys
nobody
through it all.
Nobody comes to listen to any of it.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Our number one demographic. I'm going to talk over you again, Kyle. Our number one demographic for people listening to this podcast are people who fall asleep listening to a podcast, and we're next in the queue, and then ours plays. The entire thing plays before they wake up and can stop it.
That's fair. No, I think the new podcast coming online with Brett Taylor, I think that'll lead Spotify in qualifiers in a 1-hour session. It's gonna be interesting to see how many circles we can talk in the course of a 90-minute show.
So it's called On to Waveland, and
okay.
I thought it was going to be like on to prevarication. No. Isn't that a lawyer term, to prevaricate? It's basically to refuse to commit to an opinion.
Google says being vague about the truth or delaying giving someone an answer. I think that is the appropriate definition for that outlet. But I don't know. I'm just trying to toe the line of being respectful to Andy's fellow coworkers at the Athletic.
I'm sure it'll be good. It'll be informative, and I'm sure they'll be, expounding upon things you could read in the Athletic. To me, it seems like a missed marketing opportunity. You think you would use it to tease out things that people could then read on the site and maybe pay to read, instead of keeping it super secret and having to pay even to get it. But what do I know?
And for the record, I am a proud paying subscriber of The Athletic, so you're welcome.
As am I. I have to pay for my subscription. Sounds like Mike's mic is out. I see him. He was talking and we couldn't hear him. Now he's just nodding. If you know American Sign Language, I'll translate.
Well, be careful with the signs you're putting up there now.
I know. I may be banned from Wrigley now. All right. Well, I think we have exhausted our topics and the audience all at the same time.
And Mike is dead, so
yeah, we can't hear him. He was trying to chime in there at the end, and we couldn't hear him. Maybe
there he goes again.
I don't think I muted. I don't know how to mute people, so I didn't mute him. Oh, no, he was not muted because now he is.
Now he is.
Nope. He didn't turn it off, though.
Nope.
Oh.
Touching it. Okay, there
he is.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry.
I was still messing with my sound configurations. I hope you guys said really funny stuff while I was, because I couldn't hear you actually.
Oh, you couldn't hear us either?
No. I should have just been signaling to you guys.
So he's choking to death. Let's call 911.
Oh, which is, by the way, I'm just going to give another pitch for I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. There's a very funny sketch about him choking. That's all I'll say. Watch that show. It's I've watched it twice now. Kelsey
I watched them all. I thought it was very good.
Did you like it? Yeah, I watching it the second time, there were a couple misses, but for the most part, it's very
for
good
the sheer amount that they tried.
Yes,
you were destined to have a few that just didn't work.
Yeah, very good.
But I thought that was pretty good, and it was interesting to see the odd Saturday Night Live person pop up every once in a while.
Andy Samberg,
Cecily Strong. Yep. And of course, Richard Splett, who's not a SNL character, but he showed up a few times.
He's great. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in that one. So go watch it. And I finished the Zac Efron Ted Bundy serial killer movie on Netflix tonight.
Was that any good?
He does well.
Yeah.
He does well. I think they probably he plays Bundy. God, excuse me, very well. I think that they probably would have been better served maybe not trying to make Ted Bundy a sympathetic character. that was kind of a misfire. So, and I don't know that was necessarily their intent, but it certainly felt enough like it was their intent, and it was a little bit gross. But truthfully, is Efron, because we had watched the documentary of it, the Ted Bundy tapes or whatever, a few weeks back, and it was he played him extraordinarily well. I thought so. Kudos, High School Musical alum.
And I've been watching. Did you ever watch Fleabag?
No.
It's on Amazon Prime. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, is that her name? She played she played the droid in Solo.
Oh, okay.
Apparently she had written a one-woman play, and the conceit of it was she would break constantly and talk directly to the audience. And so in the TV show, she does the same thing. She'll just turn and she'll start talking right to the camera, which you think would be annoying, but she's really good. And it's very funny. It's only 6 episodes, but the season 2 starts tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. So I'm trying to get through I started yesterday. It's very funny, and I'm plowing through the first 6 so that I can then watch the next 6, because Alan Sepinwall said it's funny, and I pretty much trust Alan Sepinwall. So
I'm watching Easy on Netflix, which is in its 3rd season. It has a lot of people that you would recognize in it. It's very, very sexual. It's ostensibly a comedy. There's some very very poignant moments in it. There's like I said, a ton of people you recognize. Oates or Garfunkel, the shorter one, is Kate Micucci. Is that her name? Is in it. It has a lot of vignettes. Orlando Bloom is in it at one point. And what's her name from The Watchmen? The attractive blonde from The Watchmen.
Oh, Malin Ackerman.
Malin Ackerman. Thank you. Plenty. That one of the women from House on Haunted Hill plays a pretty big role in it. It's okay. I would give it a watch. There's 3 seasons. I think I'm probably, I don't know, close to the end of 2. There's a lot of episodes. A lot of vignettes. It's interesting. Kind of different takes on relationships and marriage and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe Zobra should have watched it before he got
maybe.
married, is what I'm saying.
And then I also have started watching. I didn't know if it would be any good. I've watched the first 2, and I think I'm at least going to watch the third. It's called Dead to Me with Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini.
Yes, that keeps popping up from recommendations.
Yes. And the twist that you get in episode 2, which I'm sure is going to continue to twist even further, I should have seen coming. I did not see coming. So it's enough to make me keep watching it.
Has either one of you watched what is it, Russian Doll?
Oh, I did. Yes.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay, I like her a lot. I forget her name from Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, the one with the big eyes.
And American Pie.
I can see it. And she's somebody famous's daughter, which I didn't realize. Natasha Lyonne.
Very good.
Now I can't think of who's.
I'll find it. Meanwhile, you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Kyle, are you watching anything? You're a Generation Xer. You guys don't watch. You just watch things on your phone and you play Fortnite all the time. And
I do. I get critiqued consistently when people ask if I'm watching any shows because the answer is no. I watch 3 hours of baseball every night, which is not an exaggeration. And it probably wouldn't hurt me, as someone trying to adapt to being a functioning member of society, to branch out a little bit and diversify what I'm spending my time watching. But
to be fair, when Hendricks pitches, you are definitely not watching 3 hours of baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're maybe watching an hour and a half.
Yep.
Yeah, I really think you should be watching more TV, young man.
Just
not watching enough.
That straightened out.
I think you should stay in more and watch.
I really should
watch more TV. Turns out I was wrong.
I
didn't know this part. She's not the daughter of anyone famous. Although did you see that Al Jaffe from Mad Magazine was her uncle?
Oh,
she's Fred Armisen's girlfriend.
Yes,
I knew there was something like what. That's what the what was.
Is Aaron Braunstein sort of famous as a boxing promoter, race car driver, and radio host?
It just seems like anybody could claim to be any of those things.
Oh, I don't know if you guys watched the most recent season of Survivor, and it just ended last night, and I won't tell you who won. But there's a woman on there who's, how they always have their little like.
Was it Colby Donaldson? Did he win?
No, they have they have their lower third descriptions that say like what they are.
Yeah.
Hers was Julie, Etsy shop owner. I was like, how the fuck? Like, if you have an Etsy account, aren't you an Etsy shop owner? I found her annoying. Well, that's all I got. We entertained no one throughout that rain delay, but we entertained more people than Beer Money did because we at least entertained each other.
We should have our own version of Beer Money. So anyway, as we were going to promote this on our own, and we didn't have to because there's actual ads that are promoting it during the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Anchor you've always been able to leave us audio messages. No one ever has, because we didn't ask people to actually do it. But now they've made it even easier. And so no matter if you're listening to it in the app or if you're listening to the podcast on the web or they're trying to make it so that you can't avoid it. You'll be able to leave us a voice message if you want. And so if you ask us a question, if you have some hilarious comment that we just can't resist, we can actually work them into the podcast, and we will. So feel free to contribute. Do our work for us.
So essentially what Andy's saying, if you want to call in and leave a voicemail about what your favorite tweet from Dolan of that day was,
you could do that. Yes,
you could do that. Sure. He'll probably get to it anyhow, but if you want to
spend a good 20 minutes luxuriating in the compliment. So that'd be good. All right. Well, nice job.
Nice job to you.
If you're watching us live, you can go watch Jason Hayward try to run his streak to 4 for his last 52.
At least Tyler Chatwood's in.
Yeah, I saw that. I see Jason's not leading off anymore. Now Schwarber is. So they went from, all right, who's slumping just a little bit less? Well, Kyle hit a home run last night. Well, he can lead off.
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
All right.
See you next week.
See you next week.
See ya.